How important are your female friendships to you in your life?
The word important doesn't even begin to cut it. I think female friendships are like the crux of my health and sanity.
Yeah, I agree. Also,
Cool.
I
End
know.
of the episode. Thank
They're
you.
important. Go get yourself some. No, the female friendships in my life, I think, have carried me through, not I think, I know have carried me through some of the most difficult and most joyful experiences of my whole life. And whenever I remember those moments, besides like the joy or heartbreak or grief or whatever, like what I remember is the women around me that carried me through those experiences.
Yeah.
And also just the day-to-day. I think the day-to-day, like how we got on with our lives and how we process what happens to us and what we want in our life and our ambition and our fears and stuff. The main channel for that, for me, is my female friendships. Then I can start negotiating and talking to other people and stuff. But the main like core of that functioning of my like mental health and how I see the world and the things that I want in life are like, I process that a lot more comfortably and more eloquently with my female friends than I do with anyone else. Of course, like when we have partners in life and they can come and go, or even if they're long term, like that happens in that space as well. But I feel like there's things that happen in relationships that we then also have to go and process with our female friends. So it's always like the core for me.
Yeah, definitely. Welcome to another episode of Sage Takes Time. I'm Elissa.
And I'm Amira.
And today we're talking about those magical women in our lives and the joy that they bring to us.
Don't forget to turn on notifications on the Womena channel to keep up with all our upcoming episodes and check out all our other Womena content.
You know what I love?
Yes, Elissa.
I'll tell you what I love. I love that no matter how I'm feeling, what I'm going through, my closest female friendships provide me with acceptance and this very overused term, but like the space they hold, like they literally will hold space for me to be whatever form that I am, to show up however I'm showing up. If I'm the butterfly or the caterpillar or the gooey shit in the chrysalis that day, like whatever I bring to the table, there's this like very kind and tender acceptance. And no matter what I'm kind of facing, they'll help me navigate it with a type of like community and witnessing what I'm going through. It's more about witnessing sometimes. It's like they don't need to solve my problems for me. Sometimes we work on processing things, but most of the time it's just about making sure that they're witnessing me, what I'm going through, and I'm able to provide them with the same act of bearing witness to what they're going through and allowing them to feel their feelings and just making that okay, making them feel like this is a place of acceptance in the world when so much of the rest of the world feels like it won't accept us without these masks and these personas and this energy and this performance that we have to give. Our female friendships, my female friendships, the ones that I hold very, very close, are just places of like, non-judgmental acceptance and kindness.
And silliness also.
And silliness too. We always laugh like even when we're crying.
Yeah, I feel like that's a very...
Not that.
Like we just were doing that now. I feel like that's a very important space. And there's things that your female or my female friends have like seen me through and ways that they've seen me at different points in my life. And there's like a lot of the inside jokes and just the knowing of each other and our quirks and our flaws and the things we hate about ourselves and things we love and different memories we have. And there is a space to be super joyful and silly and free with each other and much more playful than I am usually able to find elsewhere. And that's such an important space because no matter what you're going through, you need to be able to laugh about it and not just have the support and the shoulder to cry on or like, you need someone to lean on and stuff, but also someone that can bring you out of that and make you see like the good in life and help you remember ways that you were and things that you truly are and to laugh at yourself and at horrible situations and at pleasant situations and just having that like silliness. And laughter is so, so important. And I feel like I have that a lot. I have that with my siblings in different ways. I have that with my parents in different ways, cousins and partners. But with the female friendships, there's like a level of freeness that I'm able to access that's much harder for me to access elsewhere.
Are there any female friendships where you don't experience that kind of freedom and acceptance? Or have you maybe cut them out at this phase in your life?
Not that I've cut them out. I just feel like the people that have been able to get close to me or that I've been able to get close to, so we have that bond, they're not the people that I feel like I have to hold back any parts of myself. Whenever I felt that way, I can be friends with those people and we can experience also things together. But it's very contained to a specific thing. Like if it's someone I met through work, then that dynamic and those memories and stuff happen in like that space, and we can be genuine and we can tell each other things and stuff. But it's not maybe someone that will become like a lifelong friend, like a best friend, you know? Like you can be friends with so many different kinds of people. And maybe I don't have to always feel that level of freedom with every single woman that's in my life. But my sisters and my best friends, you know, those people that I consider family, no, I don't think I can fully be genuine or real if I don't have that sense of acceptance and freedom. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
How about you?
I find most of the full freedom that I experience with people are actually like a very close select group of friends. I love my family. I'm very close with my family, but my chosen family have just seen so much and have shown up for me in ways that nobody has ever shown up for me, like ever. They kind of showed me how to be a good friend, how to be love, how to like show up in other people's life. Like they showed me first. It just was a long time before I really was able to like experience it consciously and then say, oh, you know what? That felt really good when they did that. Wow, that feels so good that I said on Tuesday that I was worried about this happening on Thursday, and then they called me on Thursday and they check in, how did that go? And I'm like, wow, they actually gave enough of a shit to remember that today is Thursday and call me to check in about that thing. Like nobody had done that till I was like 20. And I was like, wow, that's...
None of your female friends had done that?
To be honest, I can't really speak too much in high school because it's just like dynamics of high school. We had such a big group of friends and it wasn't so concentrated. I had my best friends show up in ways that were very, very needed.
Yeah.
Like if I had a really tumultuous time at home and I needed a place to kind of escape to after my parents' divorce and I was just alone a lot, I had friends who completely took me into their homes, you know, and kept me, like let me stay with them for multiple days and, you know, and adopted me in a way, you know. I can tell you the Nurali Naji and Alana Steen and Jeff Mott was actually a guy, you know, but his family they were all surrogate families for mine that was just all over the world by the time I was growing up. A lot of it I feel was more reactive. There wasn't a lot of proactivity and it wasn't as concentrated as like a direct line because we're a big group of girls. So like we're doing things for the whole group in high school. But later to really feel that like one-on-one and actually I'm showing up for you and I'm accepting you. People can only get as close as you allow them to get. So I don't think I was really dropping that mask of who I felt I needed to be. I needed to perform to be in order to be accepted. I wasn't really dropping that until much, much later in life. And maybe my friends in high school will prove me wrong and they'll be like, girl, don't you remember all those times when you were a fucking mess and we came and helped? But I definitely had, you know, naming names, but like my best friend, Jessie, I think was one of the first people who just was on her own path from the moment I met her, first day on the bus, in high school, through college. She graduated from culinary school. She then went and started a career earlier than everybody else. She was an entrepreneur before all of us, doing catering. And then she went to Japan for a year, going down on her own path. And she just did whatever she wanted to do, and her parents were supportive, and she really carved her own way, and still to this day does things in a very, very different way than a lot of other people. And no matter what, she accepted whatever I was presenting and vice versa. It was just love with her. I would show up and she's one of the girls I lived with, and she would cook for me and just show me the care because that's just how she is. And I really felt like unconditional love from her as a friend, like really, truly in my 20s. And I was like, wow, that's the kind of love I want to give to the people that I consider that close. And then,
Yeah. I think for me, what I also then remember, like in a bittersweet way, with a lot of my best friends that I had when I was younger, is the idea of leaving them. Because I moved so often, moved from Egypt to the States, and then within the States we moved twice, and then we moved back. So from like kindergarten to first grade, I had like best friend, and then I left, and so my best friend in elementary school is different from my best friend in middle school, and then high school, and then university, because each time I would move away, and I remember the tears that would come. Like, I have a video of me with my group of friends from high school, and including my best friend, of course, was within them, just saying goodbye as I was like moving the next day, like getting on a plane to Egypt, and we were moving our whole life. And my brother was like being the annoying brother, being like sneaking around, but he actually got this on film. From the number, like from the amount that I was crying, I remember there was a funny moment where like I was wearing contact lenses and they fell out. They were just like, boom. They like, my eyes were gonna fall out too. You know, I was crying so hard. And then there was a moment where like, everyone stop, no one move. We have to look for my lenses because I'm leaving tomorrow. There's no time to go to the doctor and stuff. But it was just this very, like, we laughed also. We were able to laugh in that moment, although everyone was like, their hearts were being torn apart, and letters and pictures and stuff. And I just remember like having to move so often then made me, when I came to Egypt and was in university and like made a best friend, and it takes a while to like, it's like a relationship. You're like, when do we call each other best friends? Is it now? Is it now? And I remember Mona, she had been back in Egypt longer than I had. And she had also lived here on and off, like much more than I did growing up. And so for her to like call me her best friend took so much longer. And we joke about this a lot, how she would tell me, and she's super blunt. She taught me to be like super blunt, and I had to like learn how to take that from another person, that level of honesty that's just like, bam, that's the truth. I'm like, ouch, okay, cool. And I remember one of those things was she was like describing what she would call a best friend. It had nothing to do with me, but she was talking about someone else and like best friends, and why would you call a best friend? And this girl was like, she doesn't even come over that often, and why, kida. And she's like, like us, like we're not like best friends, And I was like, oh,
Are we not?
You're my best friend. Are we not best friends? Because it was year one and I like latched onto her when I met someone finally in this random ass university that I actually like got along with and that I connected with. So I was very like drawn to her, and I kind of can tell when I'm gonna be really good friends with someone, and I can also tell when someone is just gonna be like, I I kind of knew that we were like very similar in so many ways.
She just didn't know it yet.
I was like, we are going to be best friends, if not already. And we joke about this now, like 25 years later, we laugh about this, but I remember in that moment I was like, bitch, like, I need this. And it's because I was new to the country, I was new to the city, I'm not even from Cairo, so that was like a very interesting experience. But I then had the opportunity to potentially go back to the US to transfer universities and go back. And I almost did. And one of the things that got me to say like, hell no, was that I just didn't want to experience that again. I was like, finally, I've been able to like spend a couple of years rerouting myself and finding my own social circle and having this best friend and like having that connection. And I don't want to leave again and start that all over again. It was really one of the strong reasons that kept me here for so many years until I like was able to
until now.
Until now. No, but then I had like other reasons, But initially, when I really didn't feel like I belonged, I still knew that I didn't want to have to rebuild my close friendships again.
Yeah, I can actually super relate to that. I had to switch schools. I stayed in the same city, but I changed schools every 6 years. I did my kindergarten, like lower school in one thing, another one in a British school, another one in the American school, and then in university. And what was crazy was that all the international schools that I went, they were all international schools. The people would leave me.
Yeah.
And then I would leave the school, but they would also leave me. Now, if I go to my hometown that I spent 23 years in, I don't have a single friend who lives there. Like I don't have a single, is that wild?
Yeah.
And all my friends have completely like dissipated, and I might still be friendly with some, but there's only like 2 male friends that I've kept in touch with who are very, very, very close to me. One from lower school, one from high school. But the rest are like the girls. The girls have kept like in touch and kept hyping each other up and kept sharing news. And this idea of like coming together and community and prioritizing the community is so important that it surprised me, because even I'm like, what do you mean? Why are you still like, just
here?
leave me like everybody else leaves me. Like, why are you still in my life? Why are you still messaging? And it was my best friend today, like Iman.
Iman. Yes,
good.
you got it.
I feel like there was a way she goes, we were very close, but there was always other people until like the time came when we could really just fuse. And it was so funny because it was almost like I needed to get rid of toxic other friendships. I was so desperate to be loved and to need acceptance and to have good friends, and I would just give and give and give and give to anybody who was like remotely around. And so many people kind of like pretended to be friends or were friends for ulterior motives or whatever. And whenever those friendships inevitably ended, it just completely like shattered my heart. And I had to go through so many of those. I was so scared to call anyone my best friend again.
Yeah.
And I remember there's a time I felt like I was gonna get married. Like I really felt like I had gotten married, gotten a divorce, and I was facing Iman in front of me on my birthday, and she flew from Sweden to come to be with me on my 30th birthday, and I was by myself, and I was just like so sad, and she surprised me, and I looked at her and I cried, and I was like, she loves me. Like it was this horrible thing of like, fuck, I'm like gonna commit to this girl because she is one of the only people who'd ever shown me that sacrifice, that I would have picked up a bag and gone and visited somebody and flown over oceans for people who wouldn't even like hop over a puddle for me, you know? And she showed me that. And then in the vulnerability, it's just been so, such a beautiful, wonderful friendship that I cherish so deeply.
I wanted to make sure to include this topic in this season because I feel like we see a lot of criticism of female friendships, stereotypes perpetuated by other women about female friendships, about how competitive they are, about how sneaky some women can be, about how they drain your energy and like they're very self-centered and you're always fighting over a man or a job or whatever. And I feel like that just has not been my experience ever. I don't have a single situation, not to say that every woman I have ever met has become my best friend and we've never fought and we've always been like perfect. That's not what I mean. But I just don't have that experience of people like stabbing me in the back and this woman did that because she wants to get ahead, and women are in competition with each other in life and so like you can't trust them and stuff. I'm not denying that that might be the experience of some people, but I feel like I really wanted to counter that narrative to show like the importance of female friendships and how they can really carry you through life. So I don't know if you've ever...
I have.
How do you subscribe to this narrative? Sorry, I took your tissue.
No, take my tissue.
It's like us in competition over tissues.
How dare you? I have. And it was like I was super mega bullied throughout middle school.
Bullied.
Lower school, bullied by groups of girls.
Yeah.
Now, again, your kids, whatever energy I was giving off was also like potentially inviting people to take advantage of that vulnerability in ways. But like high school, middle school girls can be very mean. And they were very mean. Like those who can be were. And there was a time after Nurali, my two lower school friends, I told you, Nurali and Louise both left. And Erica left. And I was hopping between these groups of girls, and then I'd be friends with them, and we'd be like, oh my God, best friends, and we're all a clique for like whatever, and there's like 4 of us or 5 of us, whatever. And then...
The ponytail is really helping you like drive this point home.
I was like, okay, yeah, and we're going to the concert, and we're all gonna go get McDonald's, and we're gonna go to the movies, and we're gonna talk about boys, and it's this whole thing. And out of nowhere, they would then be like, we don't wanna be friends with you anymore.
Yeah.
What? Why? How? This, that, okay. Whatever, I get kicked out of a group for some reason, and then I go and I try to make other friends, and then the other girls are nice to me, and then they started attacking things about me and making me feel bad and talking shit about me or being friends with me for reasons. Like I lived in the city of Paris, they would live in the suburbs. If they're friends with me, my mom would sometimes take us to a concert, you know, or like we could have sleepovers and like.
Right, you're like the city girl.
I was like the city girl, and like the boys could come hang out, and you know what I mean? And they would leave. The boys wouldn't sleep over, but they would hang out, and then the girls, we could talk about them, and they could get away with things that maybe they wouldn't get away with in their house.
Are you saying like you were used, yeah?
In different, yeah, but not like so intentionally, but I definitely was. Like, and then after another group of girls, there was like, again, I didn't necessarily align with them. It was just who you talk to at school. But I got bullied by like 3 different groups of girls and attacked. And my mom was insulted and my dad. And no matter how nice I was or how much I tried, it was like, we don't want to be friends with you. Flash forward 3 months. We don't want to be friends with you. Flash forward. You're like a loser. We don't want to talk to you anymore. And then it's just Elissa, to the point that I like eventually stood up to like the last group of girls that I had tried to be friends with. After hearing them like insult my family and my mom, she had been the most generous, kindest woman, taking us to the Black Eyed Peas show the night before. And I heard this girl talking shit, and I was like, don't you fucking talk about my mom like that. Like I was swearing, and I was 13, and I was like all empowered. And then she started fighting. She was like, I was taller than her, and she's like, get on your knees to talk to me. Why are you standing so tall? And I was like, what? And then we slap each other, and then I like walk away, and I'm like, great, now I have no friends.
Those are all the girls in this
Those are all the girls in my class, and I like walk away, and I'm like crying, and then like I'll always remember my friend Jordy just jumps on my back, and then my friend Tim comes in, and my friend Mike, and then Luke, and all the boys basically rushed me, and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe what you just did. She's such a
Yeah.
This person was exuding negativity, and I don't know what was happening in her home life for a little kid to be acting like that. But whoever she was and is in my imagination of my childhood, like was so negative. And the boys were just so unproblematic and like wonderful that they became my crew. I was like a guy's girl, and that became part of my identity all the way through fucking college. But I still had amazing girlfriends in high school, but I was like, again, scared to kind of like drop a facade.
I'm not saying that like girls can't be mean, especially in middle school and high school. Both boys and girls can be very, very cruel and abusive and bullying and drive you to like a very, very dark place, and it can be very extreme. So yeah, I mean, that sucks that you had to experience that. And I get how in that moment it's like, oh, the boys were then like, you became like such a part of their group and you found comfort there. I guess I'm talking more about as we're older in life, because that like whole era of life is very problematic.
Yeah.
Like middle school, high school, everyone is going through changes, not to justify bullying or anything, but it's a mess. It's a mess on both sides, for girls, for boys, for whatever. And it sounds like that's what unfortunately you experienced. But what about like later in life as like an adult who understands how to treat people and what they will accept in their life? I feel like, have you experienced also then female friendships that were very, very close that like betrayed you somehow, or you felt like led you to think maybe I can't really trust women?
No.
As like a blanket
statement. Never as a blanket statement. I never had that assumption, that gendered perspective. I recognized that it was very much individuals, and actually relationships not only became more individualized, like, but also more profound as I got older. So I was such a social butterfly. I talked to everybody. 99% of the people I spoke to until my mid-20s are not in my life today.
Yeah.
And the only people that are in my life are people that I have chosen to reinvest into those relationships. And it takes 2 people. It takes a loop. You cannot build a close friendship with one person just approaching the other and not having anything being given in return. And I think it's about like, as I was cutting away from distractions, and actually it was a very conscious choice of wanting to be a better friend to people, men and women, but wanting to be a better friend, that I had to like make time and remember. And I did it as silly as like writing it in my work calendar to be like, call this person on this date, schedule an hour call with this person. On your walks, you're going to call this person. Or when you're sitting, you're going to check in on this person. And really like forming the habits that I did not have when you're a social butterfly and everybody else who doesn't really matter in life, and those relationships don't necessarily feed you. They're like taking up all of this time. So I never had a blanket thing. I think I did have a lot of like trust issues in general with people that did arise as like very core relationships broke down. But also the friendships, there's friendships where it's just not even a question, even if we're completely different people today. Like I have one of my most longtime best friends who's gone down like a completely different life path than I have, and has completely different beliefs to me. I mean, even to the point where like fundamentally we disagree on the fact that like women should lead in the world. Okay?
As in like she doesn't
that's like mad triggering, right? That's like nuts for somebody who runs an organization like I do, whose mission in life is what it is for me. To have one of the closest people to me, like I remember this dinner where we were talking, I was criticizing Trump or something, this like 10 years ago, whatever, when Trump was first term. She's like, yeah, Elissa, but like, Hillary, I can't like imagine if she had won, and we don't even need to talk about this, but you know, women, I just don't think women need to like be leading countries or anything like that. Like it's too much. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, what? And she works, she has her own business, she's a leader herself. But I was like, what do you mean? She's like, but you know, women they're just more emotional, Elissa, and we get our periods, and you know, it's like hormones and things that fluctuate. And I'm like, the internalized misogyny was so much to me, but I felt so betrayed in that moment. I was kind of like, what? And my world was falling apart. And I'm like, wait, I can't believe that she's saying this right now. And if she says this, like, what does this mean for our friendship? Like, how can I be friends with someone who believes in things that are so opposed to me? And it like,
how did you react like in that moment?
In that moment to her, I was just like trying to give her outs. I was like, you mean...
Did you mean to say
you don't
maybe
mean
we
that.
can just take a menstrual day and come back?
Yeah, or you don't... I mean, don't you think men are emotional too? And then it just got so tense, and it was very like, look, we just don't have to talk about it now. Let's talk about other things. But it kind of changed the energy. And that was because I changed the energy, and she changed the energy, and it got awkward for the first time in fucking 10 years. And we were like, cool, whatever. We eventually ended the dinner. No, not the friendship. We ended the dinner, and I go home, and I was talking to my partner, actually, who was great at the time. And I was like, I just came back from dinner, and this is what she said. Can you believe it? Like, what does this mean for my life and my friendship? And how can I be friends with someone who's so diametrically opposed in principle to me? Like, has she learned nothing from being my friend? Have we nothing in common? And he just looked at me and goes, what are you doing trying to get like political ideology validation from this friend of yours? That's not what she's there for in your life. You have Womena for that. You have your team at Womena for that. You have the community at Womena to share that with. If this is not what this person cares about, is involved in, if she has a different opinion, it doesn't matter to you. What she does is she brings you acceptance. She wants to bring kindness. She wants to bring care. She's like a caretaking, loving person. That's all she wants, is to just have fun and giggle and watch movies and be together and be able to share difficult things and love each other through it, and not necessarily like believe in the same things, but just like
But do you feel like you can
another.
genuinely be the same kind of friend to someone when you feel like you have an inkling or a reflection of that their values are so different than yours, like a core value like this?
Yeah. Well, because...
Like you learned how to do it because you were confronted, or...
I learned how to do it because I was confronted, but also I kind of grew up in a very diplomatic home, I think, and I had to come to terms with a lot of different family members. My whole American side of the family grew up very Republican. Some of them are now left-leaning, others aren't. So I have to kind of love them anyway. Do you know what I mean? I have very different perspectives as my sister or my dad on certain subjects, but I love them anyway. And they're family, so I don't have the choice to love them in that sense, although you do. But with my friend, it was a choice. But we had known each other so long and we'd gone through so much and we do love each other. It's just that, and also realistically, it's not like our differing opinions are actually going to change the world that we're in. Yani, it's not like that.
So is there just like things that you don't talk about? Like how do you deal with that?
She's not the person that I go to talk about the patriarchy. She's the person I go to talk about how she's feeling that day and what help she needs and how I feel that day and what I need and what are the things we're going through as women today.
Is it because you already had a foundation of being like that close as friends?
Yeah.
Like do you feel like you'd be able to make a new friend at this age knowing that they have values that are so misaligned to yours? Yeah.
No. But
that I can relate to, Yani, this idea that there's certain friendships that then just turn into family and they just become like that person is in my, I mean, unless they like do something horrible to me, their values or thoughts or ideologies, they're not going to be the deal breaker because they're just in my life. They're so deeply ingrained in my life and I love them like a sister, truly, or like a cousin or something. And they're family. So then it becomes easier to accept if you have different ideologies or different values or your values shift or like you said, she's on a different life path. Her beliefs are so different than what they used to be. And you can have acceptance for that. But I would find it very difficult at this age to become very close friends with someone that now knowing the values that I hold so dearly, that I've like really worked hard to develop and foster and understand, to have like such a different perspective on the world. I feel like it would create this huge barrier. Like there are some things that we wouldn't be able to talk about and those things are so important to me.
And I completely agree. There's friendships that I have lost over ideological lines, especially in the last couple of years with what's been going on in Gaza and in Lebanon with Israel. Like I never thought that I'd have a conflict with certain friends based on those ideological principles. And unfortunately, I do.
Yeah.
And I've had to say goodbye to people who called me their sister. And not even say goodbye because Aslan, they never acknowledged or confronted. They just held such a loud, stance on the opposition and never addressed it with me when I would be willing to breach the subject and try to like just check in and say, it's hard for everybody right now. How are you feeling? And as a person, I never received that back. I let that friendship kind of take its distance. But with another person who is not saying I shouldn't lead. She's not saying I shouldn't be doing the work that I'm doing. She's also never made me feel unaccepted, even if like my lifestyle is very different to her principles. Like this is someone who's become a lot more conservative and who's a lot more pious and who's a lot more like restrained. And I'm like the opposite.
You're on the opposite path. You're trying to like find your freedom.
Yes, but I've never been made to feel like I can't be me. Relatable female energy, like when you do find it, it is so profoundly transformative. But if you want to start looking somewhere, for me, it's like look at acceptance. Yeah. Look at who in your circle and in your group is truly, truly at their core, non-judgmental of you, non-judgmental, and accepts you as you are. They might not be the most similar. They might not have as many things in common with you. They might not even live in the same place as you or be the same age or have the same life experiences. But if they just that's like the first basis of just being, because you can always build on that. You can show them more, you can give them more opportunities with you being vulnerable, for them to be vulnerable back, or for them to pick you up. Also, you have to be able to slowly trust people and share parts of yourself, hoping that they give you that back. But like the base level is like that you will always be received with acceptance and non-judgmental energy.
Yeah. Say something a bit, it's like a question more that I'm also struggling with right now and it's also like a reality, and you might have some really good friends in your life that you would call like among your best friends, that some people are not going to be able to match your level of giving or the ways in which you give and show up and care for your friendships and for the people that you love. And those can be very important people in your life. And some people are just like takers by nature and not in an intentional way. It's just like they're so unaware that that's how they are. and they take much, much more than they receive, and that's it. Or they really genuinely try to be giving and caring, but they're just like not able to match. And also some people are super giving by nature, and so there might also feel like there's always an imbalance in some of your friendships. And I think we talk a lot about like, how do we make friends when we're older? But I think one of the first steps before even making new friends is thinking, look, how do we keep friendships as we get older and as life demands more and our problems become bigger and we experience more grief and more heartbreak and extended family passing away or losing parents and losing loved ones and things like that, when the demands that you make of your friends and the need that you have for your support is much, much higher and much deeper. And maybe the people that you've had in your life and consider best friends for like 20 years don't show up for you the way that you would show up for them or the way that you expect. And then then what do you do? That's something I've honestly struggled with in the last few years. And I tend to always go towards like there are certain people that I'm committed to keeping in my life as friends, no matter what. But then also there's like a burden in that, or like there's an imbalance there that I don't know what to do with.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't have a lot of those. I've had like, I call these legacy friends, like friends you've just had since forever. And it's like they're your default circle. And especially in collective cultures, you have a lot of legacy friends, of family friends. But I wouldn't consider them my close friends. I have a lot of, in my case, the Lebanese community in Paris that I grew up with, but they're not like my best friends. Like they know me, whatever like superficial part of it, and sometimes we show up for each other and sometimes we don't, and it doesn't matter, and they're not going to show up the way I would show up and vice versa. Like it's just what I struggle with more in the friendship realm is finding friends who share a lot of the same passions and obsessions and like interests as me. So many of my friends allow me to just be me, and they accept me as I am, and I'm usually like the more theatrical one of my group of friends and the weird one, and or like the playful whatever, and I'll take more chances and I'll be into geek fandom things, but I don't have a lot of friends who share those passions with me. And I have people that aren't that close that share those passions, but for whatever reason, you know, we can't like bond closer. So I actually struggle with trying to find like other ways to, or trying to find a new group of friends when I already have great friends that already take up my time, but also trying to then like branch out as an adult to connect with new people over stuff. And they probably have their friends because they already geek out together. And I'm kind of like, hey.
I think it's relevant because as you get older, as we're saying, like it's harder to make new friends, but then sometimes, and kind of for you, it would maybe be about cultivating friendships in that area where where you don't already have that space filled and you're not getting that nourishment from your current friendships. I think the same goes for me, where sometimes I feel like, like a lot of my close friends like don't live in the same country. So I'm always waiting for people to come visit. And there's these like bursts in the year when everyone's in town. And so I feel super stretched thin and like having to choose between different people. And then other months where I'm like, no one's here. Where did everybody go? You know? So, and I think like, why am I not making new friends and stuff? But then I also can see in my like DMs and in my WhatsApp so many chats where there's like people that we could be friends and they're like, let's go for a coffee, or oh my god, I like saw them at a party, like, oh, we should like get together and talk about this more. And there are women that I know we could be close friends and I'm like constantly either forgetting or neglecting those messages where there is opportunity there to possibly create some great friendships that are new, that don't have that legacy.
Because you know how stacked my WhatsApp messages are, like the amount of unread messages in my WhatsApp
for me, sometimes I have to like remind myself when I think like, why haven't I made like a new friend in the last like 4 years? Like that's close. I remember then all the times that there's promises of coffee and lunches and brunches and like, oh, we should get to know each other better. Oh, you should like...
Yeah. Go talk to your friends. What are you doing listening to us? Call a friend right now. Call a friend like now. But before you do that, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Like, let us know how you like this episode. It felt like a weird one, but a very honest, genuine one. So
tell us if it was weird also.
Yeah.
Let us know.
And
why.
how. Also, drop a shout out to your best friend in the comments. If you can, please support us over on YouTube memberships or on Apple Podcasts. We really appreciate it. Those paid subscriptions go to helping us do the work that we do at Womena as an independent media company. So thank you very much. And please remember, Sage takes time.